Good evening, Jamaica. My name is Erlan Bartley. My hobbies are singing, dancing, reading, and acting. Erlan Bartley.
It was the final quarter of 2013 when Erlan Bartley, better known as Alkaline, made his explosive debut on the dancehall scene with the hit single 123. He quickly captivated listeners with his melodic, catchy chorus and a unique sound and flow, delivering witty, sharp lyrics in the verses. He ended the year on a high note, releasing a string of hits that cemented his place as a rising star. Tracks like Gal Bruck Out, Gone Away, and Ready made a major impact, both in the streets and on the local charts, signaling that a new force had arrived in dancehall. By the time 2014 arrived, all eyes and ears were on Alkaline. He was quickly dubbed the youngest and the baddest, a title that came with its fair share of controversy. Across street corners and social circles, heated debates erupted. Were his famously tattooed eyeballs real or just a clever stunt? Regardless of the speculation, the hits kept coming, and dancehall began to feel alive again. Fans were loving the energy. And Alkaline, now the genre's newest sensation, wasn't about to slow down. Instead, he seized the moment, putting his full musical prowess on display. Way We Ago Do, How It Feel, and On were just a few of the tracks that dominated the airwaves in 2014. By this point, Alkaline had clearly set himself apart and above the wave of upcoming artists in the industry. What truly made him stand out, though, was his understanding of the psychology of anticipation. In a bold and mystifying move, he began singing about the year 2016 as early as 2014.
2016 is the year of the truth, the year of everything.
This sparked widespread curiosity. Fans were intrigued. What did he mean? What was going to happen in 2016? The buzz grew rapidly, and the suspense became overwhelming. But before that moment could arrive...
Right now, we have a lot of songs out right now, and a lot of songs to be released. Yeah, I record it hard, because 2015 right now is the year of hits.
Alkaline continued to flood the streets with even more hits. Songs like Fleek, ATM, Things Take Time, and Ride On Me, which would later get a high-profile remix featuring international star Sean Kingston, only solidified his dominance in the game.
Vendetta. Will you clap with them? We still make money and we still touch. Well, I know. I did for that, you know.
The year is now 2016, and Alkaline had already claimed the title of Champion Boy, searching for some company, but not without the right formula. By this time, the mystery surrounding his eyes had been put to rest. With the removal of the black contact lenses used to portray his now iconic tattooed eyeballs, fans realized it had all been a calculated publicity stunt. But it didn't matter. The impact had already been made. Alkaline had solidified himself as a lyrical enthusiast with undeniable musical dexterity, and his fan base was not only growing, it was loyal. Expectations were sky high as Alkaline continued to drop hit after hit. He had become the man himself, a dominant force in dancehall. Fans were in a frenzy, caught in something like a trance. To them, he could do no wrong, and Alkaline, well aware of the power he held, released new music entirely on his own terms. After all, it was a new level unlocked.
When you're talking about new level unlocked, what are the things that you are unlocking?
That's a new perspective on life, We're trying to take things to a higher heights, and me feel like me grew, and I want to bring my fans with me, So it's all a growing process.
During the peak of his dominance, Alkaline joined forces with Mavado and Jamil to form what became known as the MVP movement, a powerful trifecta that brought fresh energy to dancehall. Three distinct voices, bonded by friendship and a shared vision. They started more than just a movement. They built a brand. The MVP era wasn't just about collaboration. It was about unification at a time when dancehall felt splintered. Each artiste brought their own flavor. Mavado with his veteran status and street credibility, Jamil with his conscious melodic messages, and Alkaline with his unapologetic edge and lyrical sharpness. Together, they commanded stages, dominated airwaves, and gave fans a reason to rally behind a crew again. Alkaline wrapped up 2016 in commanding fashion, firmly gripping the key to the city, while making it clear that his place at the top wasn't up for negotiation. Meanwhile, Extra Lesson was in session for the rookies, and Ricochet sent a sharp message, silencing even the then-incarcerated dancehall giant, Vybz Kartel. For anyone bold enough to test his reign, Alkaline delivered a graphic warning with a track that spelled it out without apology. Badness It Name. Early into the following year, the Detta Boss fired back at Stray Dog with a scorching response. Microwave, a track that effectively cooked popcorn.
I want you a microwave for I go to yourself. But I have to make him know say I'm a pick me. Stadium, I'll send Detta fans, give me some signal right now. Go sir, stadium, go sir. Streets don't know a man legit in a war, never fit it in a war.
The momentum was intense, and the masses hailed the young Laud. It was raw, relentless, and impossible to ignore. A lyrical assault that felt almost cinematic for fans who could picture every brutal bar. A string of hits followed fast, and though Red Eyes may have brought some hard tackle along the way, Alkaline still managed to keep himself suave throughout the period. But in 2018, something strange happened. Vendetta Drought Season. Before the drought began, Alkaline had already released Mirage and Load Up, two strong singles that surprisingly dropped just 2 weeks apart. This was unusual for Alkaline, who typically maintained a consistent 4 to 6 week release cycle. Then came an unexpected pause. 3 months passed before he returned with Perfect, a track that, in hindsight, could be described as his perfect mistake. During this Vendetta dry season, fans of dancehall found themselves with extra time and eager ears. And within that space, but not limited to that moment, a new wave of talent began to emerge. Artists like Lali, Masika, TJ, and Rygan King stepped into the spotlight, capturing attention and building serious momentum in the absence of Alkaline's usual dominance. The release of Perfect came at a curious time. While the song was well-crafted and lyrically sharp, it didn't deliver the instant impact fans had come to expect. It was a slow burner, gaining appreciation gradually rather than igniting the scene on arrival. Combined with an unusually long 3-month gap since his previous release, the moment felt like a sizable void that Perfect alone couldn't quite fill. Hence, the swift release of the track Pick Unu Side less than a week later. However, by then, the damage had already been done, and the momentum was difficult to contain. In many ways, this shift gave the dancehall community every reason to embrace the new wave. Artists who weren't just waiting their turn, but actively taking it. The hunger of the next generation was fierce, and the moment was theirs for the taking. Alkaline's once iron grip on the genre had been tested. While that singular dominance may have loosened, he never stepped out of the frame. Instead, he carved out his own lane, dropping music strategically, staying mysterious, and moving with intent. More than just a hitmaker, Alkaline evolved into a calculated force, stretching beyond the stage and into entrepreneurship, firmly establishing himself as a brand, a boss, and a lasting presence in the culture. Tracks like Juggernaut, Yardie Fiesta, Deep Sleep, and others eventually became major hits. But they gained traction at a slower pace than they would have during Alkaline's earlier trance era, when every release felt like an instant anthem.
Big up to my girl if I know about the words. We don't know what's the man after treat in a good signal. So be just remember why you get anything you like. Now I see you right, me I right, me know your man, that's what I do. Why we mad like you?
In 2021, Alkaline released his 14-track album Top Prize, which debuted at #2 on the Billboard Reggae Albums chart. The project marked a strong statement of his staying power, proving that even with a more reserved public presence, the young Lord's influence in dancehall remained undeniable. His more recent work includes singles like Blanco and Earn Your Way, continuing to show that his artistry is far from finished. In a recent interview, Alkaline was seen embracing an image he had seemingly left behind years ago. Now, in the streets, the whispers are growing louder. Rumor has it that the boss fee every boss DJ is planning a major takeover, reawakening the version of himself once known as the youngest and the baddest. He may have traded youth for legacy, but make no mistake, the baddest is still active.